Well, sorry, Phil.
All right, Mayor, we'll start back with you while we're
Okay. Well,
getting fired up.
sometimes we need these breaks to kind of get us back on the track. One thing that discussed with our town administrator and Jim, thinking more about what Mr. Davenport brought up about the Boones Creek facility. It was something we kind of just added in there, and I hadn't put as much thought into the cost that would be involved out there. But if this moves this forward, we'll agree to take care of the grounds at the school, which includes the area that you're talking about. I was only hesitant to commit to do too much, but if I think we're pretty creative in Jonesboro, so we'll maintain Jim, is that right? Maintain the entire grounds at that facility?
Yes.
Yes.
The entire grounds, right?
Yes, and I think that's going to be we've worked great with the school board. They've wanted that, and we've talked a lot to them about letting them educate and put together new educational programs and amphitheaters in these parks and things. So we do have grand plans. One other thought that Chairman Matherly suggested, and I like the idea, is, and I think it plays in with what Mr. Jones wants to do, is let's agree as part of this facilities lease to set up a facilities committee, the 3 members recommended by the Washington County Commission, 3 members recommended by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and that committee will make suggestions on the programs out there. Okay.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Kurt?
We would allow the commission to, you would nominate your 3 members of the public or yourself to participate in a facilities committee, and the town of Jonesboro would do the same, nominate 3 people. That group of 6 would, I guess, somewhat oversee and help guide programming there on these facilities.
That's right. I think the county is making a substantial investment, and I know Jonesboro's trying to work with us the very best they can and provide the best service, and sometimes it's good to have some input on what direction we want to go, and of course the mayor, the Park and Rec Board, they have a direction they want to go, so maybe that would help us to work together in programming those facilities the way we'd like to see that programming go and have an input in it.
Right now, we're adding in Jonesboro will maintain the facilities at Boones Creek,
Yes.
just like proposed for the new Jonesboro school.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
One and the same.
Yes.
All right? Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Good point,
but
Susan. But it doesn't.
it's one bite at a time. The county, the part that's owned by the county is, okay, and that's all I'll speak of. And I think we will, after, if we can get this done, we'll sit down and talk about, because we've got fields coming up out there that's going to come up before these fields in Jonesboro.
Right.
And we're going to have to come to some agreement with Jonesboro on what kind of payment and what kind of care you can, and when you can start taking care of everything there.
Right.
That can be ironed out, I think, at a later date, and I think it's fair for all our taxpayers, and it gives us a definition of what you're taking in with these facilities and your Parks and Rec department.
Right.
So I feel comfortable with that. So that's my motion. May not get a second, but
Say it one more time.
that you don't expect me to say it
Exactly the way you said it the first time.
All I want is for the facilities at Boones Creek, they would do the same care, taking care of the facilities at
maybe in addition to that motion, is that you add that we would set up a facilities committee of members, 6 members, 3 from recommended by the Washington County Commission and 3 recommended by the Jonesboro Board of Mayor and Aldermen. And that'll help us with our planning and programming and oversight.
So moved.
What is the timing on? Okay, sorry.
Do we have a second to that motion?
There was.
Fitzgerald.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Commissioner Evans, thank you.
I'm wondering what the timing would be on establishing that facilities committee and when it would start working on things.
As far as I'm concerned, Commissioner Jones, I would think we'd need to do that pretty quickly. As Commissioner Davenport elaborated, you know, we have fields coming up out there that they're leveling the dirt now, and hopefully we can be moving forward with finishing up that project at some point in time in the future. So it would be probably something that we'd want to work on sooner than later.
Can we say to formulate and set that committee up in January? That gives us a little time to, you know, get it going, and, you know, we're probably not in the season of much growth coming up with the winter time, so we'll have a little time there to kind of formulate a plan for spring.
Yeah, we've got a great opportunity here.
Yeah.
And also what this will allow for the public to see us working together.
Absolutely.
Meeting instead of waiting as well, which I think is good for everybody.
Thanks.
We do have a motion and a second. Culver, is there anything you would like to add, or is there anything you would like to caution us on developing this facilities committee and adding it to the lease?
And I apologize if I wasn't listening. So clarify the motion.
Well,
I was reading the documents. The motion,
we were making an amendment, and Commissioner Davenport, correct me when I mess this up.
amendment to the lease.
Amendment to the
I have a
lease.
question now, since you wasn't paying attention, we should have to pay you for that time you went.
I went off for that
Okay.
10 minutes.
Let's-
Is this an amendment to the lease is what I was trying to say?
Yes, it is an amendment to the lease. Now, Commissioner Davenport proposed that Jonesboro, they have agreed to take care of all the county facilities that the county owns at the Boones Creek School.
I heard that.
And also that we had agreed to set up a facilities committee consisting of 3 commissioners appointed by this body and 3 members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
I've got we'll add this into the lease, facilities lease is what as opposed to a side agreement of some kind, is that?
You actually already have, there was an amendment already made tonight that says the town will have responsibility for the maintenance and management of Boones Creek K-8 school and the surrounding county athletic facilities. And that's what they're talking about. So I think you may have already taken care of that. And either way, even if we tweak that language, it's really the interlocal agreement because the lease, facilities lease is dealing strictly with the new Jonesboro school. And this, we thought, would be better placed in the interlocal agreement to talk about. We'll do the same thing for the Boones Creek School, and again, for the school and the surrounding county facilities.
We did have someone interlocal about that, as I recall.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, same thing with respect to this committee, since it's going to be, its responsibilities will be greater than just the one school, that it ought to go in the interlocal agreement too and be more
I
broad.
suggest we put all this in the interlocal, I think. I agree. I think that might be the better
Okay.
place. That's okay.
So to clarify, the words surrounding county athletic fields refer to the actual land around the Boones Creek School? I wasn't sure what that phrase meant in.
We may need to tweak that, but we're talking about all the property the county currently owns out there.
At Boones
That the
Creek.
county would own.
And the, I'm sorry, I need to clarify that, and the schools. We were discussing that if we're going to do that for the county, we want to do it for the school. The schools have asked us about, they've been more engaged about wanting that done than anybody. And if we're going to do that out there, we want to try to, whole part of this for the whole county, everybody, was to try to make the appearance of these schools a little better for our economic development and that type thing. So we want to take that responsibility for the schools as well.
So this is for all the schools, not just the two? I'm so confused.
No.
What does surrounding county athletic facilities refer to?
That's not,
That's-
the amendment changed that. That was just for the ball fields. That's what was said earlier. Now we're saying it's everything at Boones Creek. The school owns all the grounds at Boones Creek.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that help? I hope I do.
That language is just confusing to me. That's all.
The amendment earlier said Boones Creek K School and the surrounding county athletic facilities. It said the school and the athletic facilities.
Well, earlier when I asked, it was just the ball fields. is what
Yeah.
had been, was the intent.
Okay, but now we're talking about the whole
The
thing.
entire grounds.
And that does need to be tweaked, you're right.
Mr. Chester pointed that out.
While we're at it, it should really say Boones Creek K through 8 school grounds, not the school
Grounds, and I
itself.
mean, if you look, the way I stated, if you look at what you're doing for Jonesboro,
Yes.
it clearly says everything.
We'll do the same at Boones
So
Creek.
if you just put Boones Creek and Jonesboro, it clears that up pretty quickly. But I'm not a lawyer.
I'm on your side. I think it does.
I think we're in the interlocal agreement. And it's paragraph, or section 11, under the responsibilities of the town of Jonesboro. But it does need to be tweaked. And that's the amendment that, I'm sorry, it's a new section. It's on that amendment sheet.
Mr.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Jones. No, I just checked to make sure that,
I think that's better. Moving in that direction. I would say very. It's got aspects that are reasonable.
Mr. Bennett had approved Amendment 11, or Amendment 1 to that Section 11, but I don't see any reason he would have an objection to adding the county property too, because it already covered the Boones Creek K through 8 school property.
So we have a motion, do we have a
we
motion?
have a motion.
I don't even know.
All right, questions been called? We are voting on the amendment. Well, we are switching to the voting screen now. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 12 yes, 2 no, 1 abstain, the motion passes, or the amendment passes. All right, thank you, Mayor. Is there any other amendments that you'd like to offer this evening before we move on to, all right, thank you, Mayor Vest. Culver, if you would, I know you've had some things that, to kind of guide us through our vote here. Was there anything else that we needed to amend that you felt like that?
I believe you've amended each of the 4 documents, and so at this point, you would need to authorize someone on behalf of the county to execute and deliver those documents as amended,
Okay,
then that'll do it.
all right. Do we have a motion? Motion by,
Did he say to deliver the documents?
yes, to approve, you're talking about approving the resolution, correct?
As amended?
As
Our
amended.
final,
Right.
final vote on everything?
Yeah. We have to vote on that resolution.
Right.
And would that be part of that Or do you want a separate motion on those, having those two?
The resolution was
Was the,
on the project, right, which would
Yeah.
include the amended documents.
yes,
I think you,
do that one first?
yes, I mean, I think it's all one resolution, right? to approve
It
the
is.
project.
But as far as delivering the documents and all those things, is that just,
That's in your resolution.
that's in the
Yeah,
resolution?
one
Okay.
resolution that approves the project, utilize, and authorizes the execution of presuming the county mayor, you'll normally have execute documents on behalf of the county, to execute and deliver the amended documents as they've been amended tonight by the vote of the commission.
All right, thank you. All right, we do have a motion and second, and the resolution has been amended. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions before we vote on the resolution as amended? Commissioner Tester?
Mr. Chairman, I know we've been here a long time, but I need to say this. I'm almost certain, we've been here so long and done all this, that everybody here wants something done about Jonesboro. And a sincere thank you to everybody in your efforts towards finding solutions. And parents, you shouldn't have to tell us that your children are having health problems caused by their school. I think that's a failure that the conditions got to that point. We need to take care of what we have, and hopefully our capital project funding and what we've done here tonight is a step in that direction. So school folks that are here, if you need funds for cleaning out ductwork or pest control or other maintenance, please let us know. And I've wrestled and wrestled with this, and as I said earlier, there's a lot of unknowns, and there's little in the way of assurances, although we have worked on that tonight some. There's a lot of risks, and 38 years or 34 years is a really long time, and a lot can happen. And my quick math, just the interest on 32 million for 38 years, just the interest is over $21 million. So that'd go a long way towards a whole nother school. So anyway, as I said earlier, I think we all want something done, and I know a lot of effort's been put into this plan. And I'm sorry to you Jonesboro folks, but for me, with the risks and the fiscal responsibility that we had to taxpayers, I just don't see how I can ultimately support this plan.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Call for question?
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure it allowed me to abstain. I'm going to hit confirm, but that's what I intended to do, was
Okay.
abstain.
Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 10 yes, 4 no, 10 abstain, and the resolution passes. All right. As we get ready to move on to our next item, Sheriff, if you'll lock the doors, we don't want anybody leaving now. All right.
I talked to Jen yesterday, and she wanted to know about regionalism. We need countyism this week, and you didn't tell me y'all were going to do that. This is so much more. And I let her know, I always let her down, I'm disappointed.
We order pizza.
All right, as we get started, we have a couple of items. The Planning Commission and Zoning Commission Minutes are in your packet, pages 6 and 8. We have no special recognition tonight. We do have several sets of minutes from our special call regular session and our special call meetings. I do have a motion to approve those. Motion made by Commissioner McAllister, seconded by Commissioner Tester to approve those minutes. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. And the minutes are received. There are several appointments this evening. The first one is Resolution 19-1002, is a resolution appointing members to the Audit Committee.
Move
We
to
have
approve.
a motion made by Commissioner Wheeler. We have a second by Commissioner Fitzgerald to approve the resolution. Discussion, questions? Seeing none. Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you announce the vote, 15 yes, 0 no, resolution passes. Next one is Resolution 19-1003, is a resolution appointing members to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do we have a motion? Motion made by Commissioner Ford, seconded by Commissioner Light to approve the resolution. Discussion, question?
Call the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, 0 no, resolution passes. Resolution 19-1012 is a resolution appointing 2 members to the Washington County Industrial Development Board. Have a motion? Motion to approve by Commissioner Light, seconded by Commissioner Carriger to approve the resolution. Discussion? Question?
Call for the
Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. Oh, Susie? Fourteen yes, 1 no. Resolution passes. The next resolution is 19-1022, is a resolution appointing members to the Washington County Library Board of Trustees. Motion? Motion made by Commissioner Ford, seconded by Commissioner Carriger to approve the resolution. Discussion, question?
Mr. Chairman, Crystal Hawkins was mentioned twice in that resolution. I think it might just be is that?
Crystal Hawkins, change Mrs. Crystal Hawkins to Brenda G. Fellers. My cheat sheet had gotten lost under all these leases.
I understand. So one of those is supposed to be changed?
One of those should be Mrs.
Which
G.
one?
Fellers.
Section 1? Do we need to amend that officially?
Move to amend Section 1 to replace Ms. Crystal Hawkins with Brenda G. Feller.
Second.
Thank you. All right, voting on the amendment to add Crystal Hawkins, from changing Crystal Hawkins to Brenda G. Fellers in Section 1 of that resolution. All in favor of that amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm sorry, we got to go back and vote, don't we? I'm sorry. All right, Madam Clerk, switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote, lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, 0 no, the amendment passes. We'll go back and vote on 19-1022 as amended.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wheeler to approve the resolution. Discussion? Question? Question's been called. Madam Clerk, switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, 0 no, resolution passes. On to the county mayor's report. Mayor Grandy, do you have anything to report tonight? I know you've been busy all day, nonstop.
Yeah, this shouldn't take but about 15 or 20 minutes.
Oh, good.
I'd like to go line item by line item through the financial statement. Actually, with your packet is the first quarter financial statement period ending September 30th, so for your review. And also on page 119 is a spreadsheet in there for general government capital projects. The Budget Committee has weighed in on these. I thought that we would put in the packet for any commissioner that might want to. These are projects that are out there, and if you would consider ranking them and returning them to Sherry, we'll try to tabulate that and sort of get a feel for the top 4 or 5 projects we look at until the money runs out.
When do those need to be in, Mayor?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. All right. Get those in. I know there's been quite a bit of interest in those projects the last few days, so we'll get those into you quickly, and
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
so you can tabulate those. Will those be talked about at this upcoming Budget Committee meeting?
They will.
Okay, all right, so they'll be on there. And so if you're interested in your project, be sure to show up at the Budget Committee meeting. I know there'll be a lot of interest, a lot of good projects on there. All right, our county attorney's report, Ms. Wilkins, do you have anything left to report?
I have a written report, but I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you for all your hard work and this negotiation with this lease and providing the leadership. It took a lot of times to get all those attorneys together, and I know Teresa has been an instrumental role in that, and thank you as well, Teresa, for all that you've done. And Mayor, I couldn't get by without thanking you for what you've done. All right, our next report is the Director of the Health Department. I'm sure she has not stayed around for that, but we will put her on next month. The Director of Schools is out of town. Chad Fleeter is here tonight for the Director of Schools. If he has anything, I think he's, I don't. All right, we got a little bit out of Chad anyway. Thank you, Chad. The CIA Committee report, Commissioner Carriger.
You see on page 17, we didn't have a quorum, but we had a presentation from the Bright Ridge from Stacy Evans and Mark Fields, and Commissioner Harris was there, and we've asked him to come back in January to give us an update. And I think we'll probably ask him, if it's the commission is comfortable with it, ask him to come give a presentation to the commission as a whole. Very informative. Commissioner Harris, you got any comments? You asked a lot of good questions at that meeting. You did. That's our report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, our next one is the Health, Education, and Welfare Committee. Commissioner Edens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our minutes from our meetings on page 38. We have 2 resolutions for the commission to consider. First resolution being 19-1005, resolution authorizing spending in the fiscal year budget 2019-2020. Environmental court cleanup of property owned at 215 Winston Road, Jonesboro, Tennessee. Amount of cleanup is not to exceed $6,520. I bring this to you in the form of a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Eden, seconded by Commissioner Ford. Discussion? Question? Question's been called. Madam Clerk, switch us to the voting screen, please. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in.
Susie.
Madam Clerk, 15 yes, 0 no, resolution passes.
No, I guess not.
All right. Commissioner Edens, there's another one
We
there.
have one more resolution, yes, sir. We have resolution number 19-1006, authorizing spending from the fiscal year budget 2019-2020, environmental
Motion made by Commissioner Eden, seconded by Commissioner Lott to approve the resolution. Discussion? Question?
Call for the question.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, 0 no, resolution passes.
Mr. Chairman, that's all we have from you, unless you have anybody has any questions for me or the committee.
I don't think so. Thank you, Commissioner Edens. Right to Public Records Commission, Commissioner Ford.
Our Minnetonka State Safety Bill video, and our annual report list there also, and we do have a resolution that I'm going to refer it to the budget.
It'll be under budget, yes, sir. All right. Any questions for Commissioner Ford? Seeing none, we'll move right on to the Public Safety Committee report.
You see the Public Safety Committee minutes at page 87 of your packet. There's one resolution, your right resolution number 19-1017, resolution ratifying the agreement between East Tennessee State University and Washington County, Tennessee for forensic pathology services. Found on page 89 of your packet that comes to you in the form of a motion from the Public Safety.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Malone. Discussion, questions? Commissioner Tester?
Mr. Chairman, how do we ratify an attached agreement that's not attached? It's not in the packet.
I don't guess we can ratify that, sir. All right. Well, the county attorney is reviewing to see if it's in the minutes.
I don't understand how it could have got slipped through the cracks.
I don't know that it is in the minutes.
In the last few weeks.
It is in the, that agreement was deferred some months ago. The June agenda.
Is that the new contract that the mayor signed in December?
That's our last one. I believe this just provides funding up into June. It's the same one I think we've been operating on. Is that correct, Commissioner Wheeler?
That is correct. It ends in June
That, yeah. You know, that contract will end in June 2020. Commissioner Edens?
I'd like to ask the chairman and some of the committee members, I did my very best to get there, but I could not make that meeting. I apologize for not being there and hearing firsthand, but can you share any of the questions that they had that addressed any or all the concerns that came from the last commission meeting? Anyone? Was any clarity brought or anything?
I was only there for the beginning of your presentation. I had to leave early that evening, so I probably refer to some members who were there for the whole time after the vote.
Nothing that in this current contract would change. This would just fund this contract on till June until it expires. Hopefully during that time between now and June that you know, we can propose some other arrangements. And I think that was the intent of the committee. If I don't want to speak for the committee. Commissioner Wheeler, is that close to right?
You know, we have talked about that, and I think, at least even while I was there, we delivered some pretty stern expectations that numbers we looked at, and with
committed to that. What you're saying, you know, they committed to the number of property.
If you say that you committed to the numbers dropping, and that, you know, but we need to keep sharp eye on that well before June, to determine whether we're satisfied with their, and again, I'm speaking, and I wasn't there to vote, walk through something like that.
Yeah, I guess myself, Commissioner Fitzgerald and Commissioner Harris were there, and so I would encourage them to speak up as well. But I would say that there was definitely some frank discussion, some hard questions were asked. They understood where we were coming from, and some of them were a little defensive. But I think in the end, we finished on good terms and had a better understanding of one another's position. And certainly they answered some questions for me that, you know, many of the kind of anecdotal or isolated situations, certainly they get amplified. You know, it's like a negative experience at a restaurant. You know, the 9 people that had a good experience don't talk about it, and the one that had a bad experience did. And so I think those instances where we have had some issues, they get amplified. But I think in the end, by and large, it was positive. And well, I know there has been some question. I mean, we are in this existing relationship, and they, you know, they're providing a service for which they need to get paid. And, you know, June 30, I had argued at some point we didn't have enough time, but June 30 will roll around sooner rather than later, and I think between now and then we can decide if there's an alternate path to consider. But I think until June 30th, this is probably our best option.
Commissioner Williams?
I would like clarification on why, when elderly people die a natural death at home, that they're sent to have an autopsy.
Well, I'm not the expert, but that was definitely one of the questions that was asked, and they can answer that question better than I. The answer is they're not, unless they're not attended by a physician. So if they've been under the care of a physician, and the physician will sign the death certificate, there is no autopsy. But if they're not under the care of a physician, so there's no physician to sign the autopsy, then it comes back to, are prescription counts out of whack? You know, have they taken too much prescription, or have they not taken enough, or are there other issues? But unless there are other issues, there is no autopsy. But if prescription counts are off, or that sort of thing, there might be an autopsy.
I'd like to make a comment. I think that ought to be addressed, because I think there's an awful lot of over autopsies.
Really, that was the purpose of the meeting we had. So.
I just say, you know,
Commissioner Harris?
maybe it'd be good if, I can't even remember really what we talked about right now. It's past my bedtime. But maybe it'd be good if they come in and talk to all the commissioners, you know, before we approve this thing. Come in and let everybody ask questions, especially since this contract's not in the packet, and I agree with what's another month when I heard. I mean, Robbie, it's been since June since we've seen this thing. Because I know a lot of people have questions. And you could ask them, and that'd be good for you to ask that.
Another option with that would be to, whatever we do next month, to set that up about 3 months from now and see what the numbers do. Let them address the whole commission, or let them, instead of waiting all the way to June to look at numbers, look at them in the interim and see if they're actually doing something.
I just want to know if to make
We need
money.
to approve some of this money. I'm sorry.
Second.
Commissioner Wood,
I think we ought to check in with the financials, see if we're okay if we don't do that right now. Because it's the second piece.
Can somebody be appointed, and not me, because I don't know the connection, to find out the state requirements for when an autopsy is done?
yes, I think, that like Commissioner Harris said, some of the questions probably better answered by the medical examiner's office. So I agree with Commissioner Harris. I don't think it'd be a bad plan. We'll come here and spend 15 or 20 minutes.
No, I think that's a good idea, but it bemoans me a little bit. And I know people have schedules and they're out of town, but I think a lot of this ground was covered in public safety. Now, again, I'd like for everybody to hear it, but everybody had a chance, I guess, at public safety.
Yes, the county is making a huge investment there. And I think we get a lot of it, it's a lot smaller amount of money. I spent 10 years to do this, so I'm not
We gonna make it to midnight?
Call for question.
I'll second.
Oh, we don't. Burn it.
We've talked so long tonight that the microphone is squeaking. All right. That item is referred. Commissioner Wheeler, was there anything else on the safety report?
That's all in the public safety.
Thank you. All right, the next item is the Public Works Committee. Mr. Davenport.
Yes, you'll find our minutes on page 91 for the October 10th meeting. Also, there's one change that needs to be made under new business, item number 4. The said road that we, in Lamar, Cherokee, off Cherokee Road, that road is 965 feet long and 20 feet wide, not 24. Our first resolution tonight is resolution 191013, resolution setting the speed at 25 miles per hour limit on Mountain View Road. That is in form of a motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Davenport, seconded by Commissioner Ford to approve the resolution. Discussion, question? Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, resolution passes.
Our next resolution, resolution 191014, resolution accepting Lamar School Drive
needs to have changes?
Yes, that's right. Yes, in the minutes and then also in the resolution. And again, the change is, instead of 24 feet wide, 20 feet wide.
Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney, that won't require amendment, right? Just, can we just change that in the resolution?
Okay.
Okay.
So it's just the minutes.
Okay, all right, just so long as we're straight on the resolution.
Okay.
Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Yes, resolution passes.
Next resolution that we have, resolution 191015, resolution authorizing the disposition of highway department surplus property on Gulfview.
Motion made by Commissioner Davenport, seconded by Commissioner England to approve the resolution. Discussion. Question's been called. Madam Clerk, switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you announce the vote, 15 yes, resolution passes.
Final resolution tonight is 191016, resolution accepting Brady Way as a Washington County road.
Motion made by Commissioner Davenport, seconded by Commissioner Ford to approve the resolution. Discussion. Question's been called. Madam Clerk, switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, resolution passes. No other questions for Commissioner Davenport. We'll move on to the Rules Committee. Commissioner Tester.
Mr. Chairman, October 10th was my wedding anniversary, so I was not present at the meeting, and I'm going to defer to my honorable Vice Chairman, Mr. Wheeler, for this report.
Congratulations, Commissioner Tester.
She's not here anymore.
Oh, no.
She went home.
She's a smart woman.
Mr. Chairman, he's going to regret
deferring to me just a moment. You'll find our minutes on page 106, and the committee would like to point out that we actually got 2 action items completed. Which is a record for us, I believe. We do have one resolution for your consideration. Mr. McCallum wants to come out. We did that because he wasn't able to. That's resolution 191011, resolution approving letter contract between Washington County, Tennessee and New Vision Marketing for Video Services of the Washington County, Tennessee Commission meeting, and amending budget 2019-2020 by adding $600 to line item for funding live streaming of special call commission meeting. That comes by way of the motion from the committee.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Malone. Discussion? Question?
We did that one the month before.
No, we'll make note of that for sure. Madam Clerk, if you will switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 14 yes, 1 no. Resolution passes.
And that's all from the Rules Committee.
All right, next item is the Budget Committee. Commissioner Wheeler.
You'll find minutes from our October 16th meeting at page 114 of the packet. We have 4 more resolutions for your consideration this evening. First being resolution number 191008, found at page 121 of the packet. Resolution amending fiscal year budget 2019-2020 regarding additional shelving required for the archive annex and higher estimated renovation cost of phase 2 of the annex renovations. That comes by way of a motion from the committee.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Ford to approve the resolution. Discussion? Question's been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, resolution passes.
Next resolution is resolution number 191009, found on page 124 of the packet. resolution amending fiscal year budget 2019-2020 regarding two UT extension employees electing healthcare coverage. That comes by way of a motion from the committee.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Light to approve the resolution. Discussion? Questions have been called. Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, you announce the vote. It's 15 yes, and the resolution passes.
The next resolution is resolution number 191010, found on page 127 of your packet. A resolution amending fiscal year budget 2019-2020 regarding to reflect additional funds to be moved from the register of deeds data processing fee restricted fund balance to their operating budget to be used for data processing equipment. This comes by way of a motion from the committee.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve the resolution. Discussion? Questions been called? Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen. Go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote, 15 yes, the resolution passes.
The final resolution is resolution number 191018, found on page 130 of the packet. Resolution approving the government contract for evaluation and treatment of adult criminal defendants charged with misdemeanors. This comes by way of a motion from the committee.
Motion made by Commissioner Wheeler, seconded by Commissioner Harris to approve the resolution. Discussion? Questions been called? Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen. What? Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Like I said, that's under my leases. Commissioner Williams? Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you'll announce the vote. 15 yes, resolution passes. All right. Anything else, Commissioner Wheeler?
That's all.
Thank you. We have no old business to report. We do have Resolution 1910 and 19. It's a resolution approving the election of notary public for appointment or reappointment for Washington County, Tennessee. Motion made by Commissioner Ford, seconded by Commissioner Tester to approve the resolution. Questions been called? Madam Clerk, if you'll switch us to the voting screen, go ahead and cast your vote and lock it in. Yes, the resolution passes. For new business, we have strategic goals this evening. We want to share with everyone, see how we are progressing on those.
We are making progress on many of those goals, and especially excited about our work to improve communications with our new hire and some of
Sounds like a great plan to me. Thank you, Commissioner Jones. Thank you for facilitating that for us. Also, remember, thank you, Sherry, for all your hard work you've done this week. We have been scheduling committee dates for next year, commission dates for next year, all kinds of dates for next year. So you'll be seeing those next month, right, Sherry? Get to vote on those. Also, remember the cutoff date and time for next month's county commission agenda is Thursday, November the 14th. So get anything you need before then. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Commissioner Ford, seconded by Commissioner Light. All in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.